Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Genatowski, let me follow up on some of the questions that Senator Manchin asked you with the RPE program. What would you do in your capacity as the director to advocate the value of the ARPAE's program to the Secretary and to the President?
I would point to the external management evaluation National Academy of Sciences used. They've got a lot of research that they've done, many publications. They've got companies that have been formed. They've got products that have gone into the marketplace and actually changed the environment. So I think there are other citations of major publications. There are patents applied for, et cetera. There are a lot of different external goals. I think that the National Academy had about 7 or 8 that they looked at. A lot of those are interim goals that are adding to knowledge, which is important. And some of them are, I'd say, ultimate goals, which address the phrase in the statute of deployment, deployment of the assets. Some of those things are the geothermal well with the laser beams going down the middle to soften up the rock. There's the BASF venture capital working with slips to increase the viscosity and not have any kind of attachment against the walls of a pipe or whatever. There's smart wire. There are many things that have made it to the end of the marketplace that have actually changed the way the market works and changed the way electricity moves, the way power moves, the way energy moves, and help the environment. So those are a handful of things out of a lot of projects, which seems to me like the right ratio. Some failures, some projects that add to knowledge that haven't yet hit the market, and then some things in the marketplace. So I guess it seemed to me they're doing their job, and they should be continued for that reason. That's how I guess I would advocate it.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Cooper, would you please share your general position on whether Yucca Mountain, Nevada should be a federal repository for the nation's nuclear waste?
My position would be that the department would follow the statutory mandates on Yucca Mountain, and I would advise the department to do so. It's a role of Congress to speak to that, and I think Congress already has.
Would you recommend that the Secretary accept the framework established by the Blue Ribbon Commission, which was later accepted by your general counsel predecessor and the Secretary's predecessor?
I'd have to review the commission's findings. I haven't done so.
Would you support legislation requiring consent by state and local governments?
By all means, that's a decision for the Congress to make, and it would not be a decision that I could make in my role as Office of General Counsel.
You don't think the Department of Energy would take a position one way or the other on whether or not there should be consent-based siting?
I'm sure that it would depend on the particularities of the proposed legislation.
Okay. On January 8th, FERC unanimously rejected DOE's grid resiliency proposal to provide support for failing coal and nuclear plants, saying that there is no evidence that any past or planned retirements of coal-fired power plants pose a threat to reliability of the nation's electric grid. And then subsequently, a leaked DOE memo dated May 28th would compel, the memo stated they would compel, that the DOE, would compel grid operators to buy electricity from at-risk plants under the auspices of national security. Considering there is no emergency, existing emergency to respond to, it's hard to envision how propping up those at-risk coal and nuclear plants might be implemented. In your legal opinion, what would such an emergency look like that would keep these plants online that couldn't be rectified with the grid system and resources we already have today?
I really couldn't speculate on a fact pattern that I haven't seen that exists today or what might occur in the future. All I can commit to is that I would advise the department of what the law says and then try to make a reasonable application of the facts to the law. But at this point, I'm not in a position to give an opinion.
Thank you. On August 14th, Secretary Perry was quoted as saying the government must ensure that the U.S. has baseload capability that only coal and nuclear can bring. The wind doesn't always blow, the sun doesn't always shine, and gas pipelines are interruptible. From your experience in the natural gas industry, would you agree with this assessment?
At a top-line level, yes.
And any other comments? At a top-line level, yes, what does that mean?
Well, I'm saying in the energy sector is robust, it can be complex. And I think that to do a full and complete analysis of how each part of the energy industry fits into the whole is more than I can succinctly state here today.
Okay, thank you. I notice my time is up. Thank you very much.